Hey everybody, this is Halstead and Andrew McMillan with REH CPA. Today we want to talk about ERC. Here lately, the IRS has been going through an effort to combat erroneous ERC claims, and they have just recently published 4 warning signs that you may have an erroneous ERC submission. So I've got Andrew McMillan here with me today. Andrew, what can you tell us about those 4 signs that the IRS just recently published?
Yeah, so the ERC is still a hot button issue with the IRS. They've got these teams of people now and trying to, audit these claims and make sure they're legitimate. So they're putting more and more information out as week to week as time goes by. And like you said, most recently they put out a notice saying that they've identified 4 areas. The first one being if you were an essential business that did not have a decline in gross receipts during the COVID periods, then you more than likely don't qualify for the ERC. So the IRS, their audit teams are seeing that a lot right now, where people who were considered essential businesses and didn't have a decline in gross receipts applied for the ERC. So that's one that's one red flag. If you're one of those businesses. And the other one would be if you were a business and you were unable to support your claim that you were affected by a government order. If you were fully or partially suspended by a government order, if you were unable to tie that notion to an actual government order, like you have to have a government order that directly shows how you were affected, how it closed that portion of your business. The IRS is auditing those now and asking for these government orders, and just people are unable to supply the government orders. Another one would be the IRS is seeing where people are calculating their ERC amount off of wages they paid to family members. So if you paid wages to family members, there's a lot of rules around calculating the ERC and what can and cannot be included in your ERC calculation. So if there are wages to family members, there's a chance that you might have overstated your ERC amount calculation. And then lastly, if you receive the PPP loans, payroll protection loans, and seek forgiveness on that loan, the wages used to get the PPP loan, and if you received forgiveness on it, those wages can't be used to calculate your ERC credit. So that's considered double dipping. So the ERC wages had to be specifically only for ERC wages. You couldn't have used that for PPP things of that nature as well. So that's what the IRS is seeing. So those are 4 areas that the IRS says they've caught a lot here recently and just want to make taxpayers aware of it.
So what if you are a business owner and you filed an ERC claim that you think may have been erroneous?
So there's a couple options. The IRS has a withdrawal program. So if you haven't cashed your check or received your check, you've just maybe recently applied, the IRS has a withdrawal process to where you can actually make it like it doesn't even exist. You can go on the IRS website, probably search IRS withdrawal ERC, and you could try to get that just kind of purged from the system as long as you haven't received the money and cashed the check. They also have that at one time, now it's closed now, but they had a voluntary disclosure program that was previously opened, and it allowed you to repay your ERC money with a 20% reduction on it. Like really only had to repay 80% of it. Now that program has closed. There's some chatter around potentially extending that, and there's nothing concrete yet. So it's just something to be mindful of. But the IRS has said, like I said, there's some chatter around maybe reopening that or reopening it up in some form or fashion. Right. But
yeah, no, the IRS really seems to be placing a lot of focus on this area to try to recoup some of those funds. And I tell you, it's about time.
Yeah, it is, and they've. You could do a quick search, and the IRS is already touting what they've been able to get back. There's billions that they've been able to recoup on this from fraudulent claims. So there's a lot of money in this for the government to try to get back, and I know it seems like they're really going after it at this point.
Yeah, so if you filed an ERC claim and you feel like you probably didn't qualify, you may want to go, because the IRS has some really good information out there right now on all the scams that were surrounding ERC and who qualified and who didn't. A lot more information than they did when they actually brought it out.
Right.
So if you have concerns, you can go search the IRS website for that information, or you can give us a shout and we'll help you out. Thanks.